Hello, I'm Kimberly Bailey-Tirone, and welcome to Enterprising People from fabulous Las Vegas. I'm so happy that you've tuned in. We talk to people from all over the world in business and entertainment, and all being very enterprising. And you know what? When you hear from some of these enterprising people, you find the enterprising person within yourself. And that's what's so great about Enterprising People, the podcast. And please push subscribe and become one of our subscribers. But today I'm so excited because I have one of my dear friends and an internationally known artist, jazz artist, saxophonist, Paul Taylor. And Paul is just really renowned in so many aspects of writing, producing, playing his fabulous music. And he has a new CD out, and it's a brand new day. It's his 13th CD. So Paul, welcome to Enterprising People.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Glad to be with you today.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you, Paul. I mean, wow, you have done so much for the music industry with your authentic sound. And sometimes people describe your sound as smooth jazz. And I was just wondering, how would you define smooth jazz versus other jazz?
That's a really good question. I think smooth jazz came out of it's like a subgenre that came out of like contemporary jazz. So like contemporary jazz is more like like Chick Corea, like Herbie Hancock, like back in the 70s, and then it kind of just morphed into another little thing. And so like then the onset of the Rippingtons, and so then smooth jazz is more like based on the groove versus like the groove and melody versus like the improvisation and like little technical things. So it's a little more group oriented.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I tell you, you just set the mood. And the name of the new CD is A Brand New Day. And wow, so many people need to hear that. It's a new day because it seems like it's full of joy. And a lot of people need a little joy right now. But how would you interpret the title of your CD?
That's a pretty good summation of it too. Going into it, each CD, I just kind of go in with a blank slate and let it just organically kind of go where it's going to go. And so in this one, after all the songs are in, you take a step back and listen to it and get just from the basic thing of the whole thing. And like it just has an optimism about it. So I wanted to call it, and especially the title track. It's like it has a lot of different little aspects of that song. It's very very involved, but it has overall like a very optimistic and like idealistic, like, you can make it better. Let's just make it better. It's a new day. Go ahead, go from there. Don't look back. Go ahead. And so that's how we I picked the title track, and then, all the songs kind of fall in. It's just very, it's very positive, very positive.
Yeah. And I know that I was reading how you started playing at the age of 7, but I was wondering what attracted you to the saxophone?
It's so weird, Kimberly, that so I have a younger brother, Bentley, just like a year and a half younger. So I'm like 7 and he's 6. So my parents so in lieu of like sports, organized activities, my parents chose band for us. And so we had no idea. We didn't say I want to play an instrument. We just said, they just came home and said, "Hey, you want to play music?" When what are you going to say? No? Like, yeah, why not? So my parents got us in a youth organization in Denver, Colorado, and that's how I started playing music.
Yeah. So you were born in Denver, Colorado, but then you came to Las Vegas. You went to UNLV for college.
Absolutely.
How did you pick Las Vegas?
A big reason why I picked Las Vegas because I got a full ride scholarship. That was the reason, pretty much, and it was a good school. I did my research too, and it had a really good music program as well as a jazz ensemble, and those were definitely the 1, 2, 3 reasons.
Yeah, but music is such a big part of the educational process. But, politically, we hear more and more music programs are being dissolved in school and within the school system. Yeah, and what would you say to that when people say, "Oh, we don't need a music program"?
I think that's a shame because you're cutting off one of the aspects of just human growth and development of our youth. Music is very important. Like any of the arts, of course, like that'd be cutting off okay, you only got 9 fingers now, whatever. You need all we need all 10 fingers here, or maybe you
Yeah.
cuts off 2 fingers. So you don't, we need all 10, and so it just makes for a well-rounded like society. If someone chooses to go that way, and people that aren't in music, they love to listen to music. So we need, they like to look at art. If they're not painting it or they're not drawing it,
Yeah.
we need all the arts. Yeah, it's a
We
shame
need
that we're kind
all
of
of it.
cutting things off. Yeah.
I know, I know. Well, hopefully, we can advocate and get it back into our school system because people love music. Music does so much to our lives, for our lives. Like you said, helping out with the educational process as well. But what if you had to? What if there was no music? Could you ever imagine that? Where would we be if that was to happen? That we can't hear the music. And I love listening to your music in the morning when I'm listening, when I'm up. It just makes me smile, Paul. But why is music so important to our daily life?
Kimberly, that's another great question. I think that like as we're lucky to live like as long as we have, so we're grateful for every day. Some people don't get to live that long, but anyway, if you
Hmm.
do, you look back, like you hear an old song, like an old nostalgic song from the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever decade, and like it really, well, I remember that song back in I was doing so such and such and such. So
Yeah.
that song is like, and music in general, it's like a wallpaper of your history. It takes you back
Yeah.
to certain things of your life. So that's why it's important. And it takes you back, and
Yeah.
you can just it's just a grandiose, like, wow, it's just a full circle moment.
Yeah, when we hear about dopamine and feeling good, this is how you feel good. You listen to Paul
Exactly.
Taylor. Yeah. But Paul, when we talk about Las Vegas, because, we've known each other for a while now, but many people associate the Rat Pack to Las Vegas. But you have had the pleasure of performing with some of the greats now in the jazz arena, like, Dave Koz, Peter White, all of it. But I was wondering, what's been the most memorable moment for yourself because you travel all over the world?
Oh my God, you're getting me, you're stumping me right there, Kimberly. The most memorable moment. Wow, that would be you know what? Actually, I would say right now off the top of my head, because I don't really get asked that. So that's, you got a good question. You got me on that one. I would say like
Okay.
meeting, like meeting one of my best influences, greatest influences, the late great David Sanborn. We lost him last year.
Yeah.
Meeting David Sanborn, like I guess I met him twice. Like first time was I did a jazz cruise, and
Hmm.
I just got myself positioned and was like, "Can I get a photo up with you?" And he was so cool. He goes, "Of course." Like we took a picture. Then the second time, it was in Florida at another a big jazz festival, and then same thing. I just got he was so gracious and took a picture with me, and like it's almost like he's like, I appreciated, like he kind of knew of me. He knew that this guy plays sax, man. This Paul Taylor, he's legit.
Yeah, you are. You are. That's what that leads me to my next question. What are the greatest compliments that you get from other artists? Because I think a good artist or a legendary artist, they know another good artist. So they have you gotten some of those compliments from people that you guys are kind of in the same gang, the gang, and same situation, playing jazz, playing the saxophone. But what's been the most complimentary statement you've received from someone?
That's another great question, Kimberly. That's why you do what you do. You got everything. You're right there. I would say, okay, last year I did speaking of Dave Koz, I did the Dave Koz
Yeah.
cruise. His version was last year. We went to Greece, Malta, and Sicily. Just the best time.
Wow.
So yeah, he's got it going on. He's got all things covered, all the kind of events and stuff, and great artist, of course. Nicest guy. So before the cruise, we have like about a month before the cruise, we have 2 weeks of rehearsals in California. So, and he's getting it all together. We have all these specialty shows and different groups we have to play and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So we had one of the little specialty shows we had was called The Sopranos. So it was like what, six of us like that played soprano, like sax players. So there are other
Okay.
sax players, but other ones we have soprano, like Jakeem Joyner, myself, Najee, of course Dave
Wow.
Koz,
Yeah.
and um, my man Eric Darius. Okay, so like
Oh,
five of us.
Eric dear. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we had to do like a little like a show in like one of the lounges on the ship. and it was called The
Mm-hmm.
Sopranos. Like it's always a theme. So The Sopranos literally were playing, but they had like the in the background of the digital sign, it was the font of The Sopranos, the famous show.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so like we're rehearsing for it, and so weeks before that, we have to pick like a song that you want to play that from one of the great, a cover song from one of the great soprano guys that you like. And so I picked a George Howard song, Love Will
Yeah.
Follow, and so different ones like
Yes.
that. And then so anyway, we're at the rehearsal and stuff, and everything went great. And so during the rehearsal, we're like just hobnobbing and talking and stuff. And Dave Koz gave me the greatest compliment, and he's kind of told me a couple times before, but he just reinstated that, like, Paul, when you came out with Exotica and Pleasure Seeker,
Oh yeah.
man, that just turned me, that like it was so good. I wish I had recorded that song myself. He's told that to me, and so that's like one
Yeah.
of the greatest compliments, like from a great jazz artist.
Yes, yes, Paul. Now, when you had that song Exotica, when you put that all together, how? Because it's infamous. That song is infamous. I think you could go to Pandora or it's gonna play. So I was just wondering, what is the process of getting a hit song?
If I could put it in a bottle and sell it, then I have no worries. But
Yeah.
it takes a number of components. I'm not the master of all of them, but I've done it a few times. So it takes, first of all, you got to have a really kick butt song,
Mm-hmm.
whether it has a melody, the groove, like something that just captures everybody with whatever the song is, the tone of it, the
Mm-hmm.
words, the lyrics, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have maybe like a promotional that gets it out to the world. You got to get it in
Mm-hmm.
the mainstream somehow, whether it be a DJ that, back in the day, like, in the 50s and 60s, a DJ heard this song. Wow, I'm gonna play it, and then all of a sudden it catches on, like Elvis or like
Yeah.
Kenny G or whatever, Clive Davis. You know,
Yes.
in our world we have radio promoters, record promoters. So it has to get like the word has to get out through a promotional, and I think
Yes.
third you have to I think those two reasons right there.
No, that's it. But you mentioned Clive Davis. You mentioned some of these people that are infamous from the music industry with the music labels. But now with technology, streaming, all is everyone that's in the music business now truly an independent artist? Because at one
Yeah.
time it was the independent artist, but then it was the artist with housed in a Warner Brothers or Sony or one of the big record companies. But is that obsolete now?
No, because Kimberly, I am one of the people on the I'm still with a record label, quote unquote.
Oh, okay.
I'm on Peak Records, also Peak and Shawnee Records, and this is my
Okay.
first outing with Shawnee, the distributor. So, but I've been with Peak, which is my manager's label, and so I'm really happy there and doing my thing. And so yeah, you're quite correct. There's a lot of people going independent now, and so there's just two different, 50-50, just wherever you get
Right.
in, where you fit in. So sometimes, with the independence, you have a lot of freedom to do what you want. At
Uh
the
huh.
same time, everything's on you to get it done. Whereas a record label, there's other components they have that take care of stuff. And
Yeah.
then so
Yeah.
you may not get the whole piece of the pie, but you got a good team behind you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. When you're with a record company, because it's not really you wearing all those hats. Because you're talking
Yeah.
about distribution, promotion. Those things still exist. So even though technology is kind of has this big wave going on in all industries, and especially in the music industries, but you still have to take care of certain things so that your music gets out to the people. And
Right.
yeah, and what's because I remember the 45. I remember the little hole, and I had to put the thing in the middle and make it play on my record player. But those days are over now, and I go to Pandora and I push whatever, my Paul Taylor, and I could listen to all those songs on Pandora, or stream on YouTube and see a whole concert. But what's the good news about technology as it relates to music, and what's the not so good news for you?
Oh wow. Okay, the not I'll go with the not so good news first because that's comes
Yeah.
to my mind first. So the not so good news, it's like there's always like a plus and minus. So the caveat I think is like since the advent of streaming, it makes it really easy to to hear everything. You can just, I'm looking up, hey, there's Paul Taylor. Let's see let's Paul Taylor. Who's that? Let me look him up. Oh, this is Paul Taylor, right at like in 10 seconds or whatever, right?
Right.
But so the caveat is like, as songwriters, we get like a mere pittance of each play. So we have to get like a lot of streams to get to
Mm-hmm.
like, and I think even Spotify to the what I heard
Yeah.
was if you're just like just getting started with the independent, if you have to get like 10,000 or I don't know, like an ungodly amount of plays before they won't even take you in. So
Wow.
that's part of the caveat, as for, and the best part, like I just said, like, you're out there, like right there on your
Mm-hmm.
phone, they can look you up and go to your YouTube and
Yeah.
Spotify, Pandora, whatever, Apple Music.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you get that exposure because a lot of people just start singing on TikTok or playing their instrument on
Right.
TikTok, and they're trying to get those hits, those likes, those views.
Right.
So we're really, but when we hear about AI, AI in the acting arena, is almost taken in the place of actors. That's what they're projecting, that they will take your image and do that. Do you see that happening in the music industry?
Well, fortunately, I have not yet, but I think it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I think we have to
Yeah.
be. It's a slippery slope. I think we have to be careful, and in some ways, I do like the AI thing. Like you can make movies and different things and make things look real and stuff. But then I look
Mm.
at some of these videos and it's like if it looks like AI when something grows like six fingers or whatever, and like okay, that's not really okay. That's I don't know
Uh,
about that. But
yeah.
but at first it fools you. But I think it's
Yeah.
a slippery slope because don't try to like make it like don't try to hybrid Paul Taylor. Don't make another Paul Taylor like
Yes.
and without me knowing it. I need to know, whatever, like and try to like preface that this is the new Paul Taylor. No, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Exactly, exactly, and that's what I think. That's the challenge: is that people are going to be lost. The grocery store. You might not even have anyone as the checker. You have to go to the machine to check your groceries out. So I know that there's an upside, but there's definitely a downside because music is such a personal touch. Music
Yeah.
is to your soul. I don't know how that can really be duplicated with technology to touch the soul because you have to be a soul to do soul, right?
Good, very good. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm just when I listen to your music, Paul, and I'm telling you that I really feel it. Whatever you're going through, you can feel those loops. It's almost like the interpretation of a fine art, like Basquiat. You can look at his art and it just feeds you. But everyone has a different interpretation. Do you find that people will listen to your music and then come to you with something you really didn't think about, but that's what they got from your music?
Absolutely. I get people all the time, like, at different shows and like, after you do a show, then you have a little meet and greet and sell your CDs and you meet someone they want just, if they don't buy a CD, they just want to shake your hand, just look at you in the eye and like, man, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed your concert. I really enjoyed your music. Your music takes me back and this and this and that. Now your one song, so and so and so and so, it did something and something that, and they'll tell me this and like I had no idea that it would do that. It was amazing to hear that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you never know, how it influences
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and because I grew up, my father, Bob Bailey, sang with Count Basie for years, and so I was surrounded by music, and I remember meeting Dizzy Gillespie, and I was, and it was just all he wanted to do was talk about my dad, but I was so excited to meet him, but I remember that the tempo when they would turn on the jazz music in the household was like dun 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 doo, doo, tss, tss, tss. That was kind of a tempo. But now our jazz that we hear from some of the people like Dave Koz, Kenny G, or yourself, Paul Taylor, that ta ta ta. But was that a foundation for jazz to go where it is today?
Absolutely. Everything just evolves and like over time, like, decades, things have to move on. Like nothing's going to stay the same. So it's going to move on. So back then it was like the swing,
Yeah,
the swing era
yeah, the
was like
swing.
For our
Yeah.
parents' era, that was swing was the nice era. That went into the other stuff, rock and roll, and whatever have you, and so yeah, ours is like ours is like smooth jazz is like a mid tempo kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a
There you
mid tempo,
go.
and you can
Yeah.
go a little bit higher and lower, give or take, but yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah, it's just a good foundation. And the different genres, I was so proud to see Beyonce. I went to go see her concert when she was in Vegas. And she broke down some doors there, the ceiling, with
You
country
did,
music. Yeah, and
yes.
she went into doing that. Now, when you talk about the jazz, the smooth jazz, that's kind of putting you in this little in some kind of category. What do you
Right.
feel about musical categories? Because at one time it used to be R&B, you do country, you do jazz, you do reggae. But is it a big pot of gumbo really when it's all said and done, and you can venture off where you feel?
I like to think that it is, but I think sometimes kind of not because I'm so grateful. Like when I was my upbringing, I played music all my life, private lessons, junior high school, and all that. Then got scholarship, came out here to UNLV. I was a music major, playing, and so my thing was like in college it was like playing in the jazz ensemble, reading music, reading the charts. Almost like the
Hmm.
swing era, like they're reading charts, but with the big man thing. And so at the same time, I knew like I like Grover Washington Jr., Ronnie Laws, David
Yeah.
Sanborn,
Yes.
a little, some John Coltrane, Charlie Parker. But I knew but I was playing this stuff and I was getting like a good, well-rounded education and like reading music and all that. It was great playing. They had the internship program and play on the strip, whatever, and it was all good. But I knew in my heart I need to get out of the music stand up on front of the stage. So somehow I
Hmm.
had to make that happen. So I think oh, I lost track on your question, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like,
The genres that you can kind
oh
of
yeah,
get
yeah.
into some other areas. Uh huh.
So exactly. So I thought back then like I've got to get like I want to be like I don't want to play like reading music. I want to play my own melodies and make my own songs. And so
Hmm.
I said I would pray that someday, some decade or some year, they make a format for us for us instrumentalists. And you know what? It
Yeah.
happened like when smooth jazz happened, like what 85, whatever, give
Yes.
or take.
Yes.
It started to it developed, and then like all of a sudden, like I paid some dues, like another 15 years of dues, but I hung in there, and then like I got my record deal when I was 35 years old, and then so there was
Yeah.
a format for us, and so there it did happen. So after that, I would say that I love all kinds of other genres too, but like,
Hmm.
I think once you establish yourself in one genre, it's very hard. Like, God bless, Beyonce, that she could do that. She got some criticism,
Yes.
but I love what she did.
Yes.
I would love to do other kind of music as well. Um,
Maybe a
with the record,
collaboration.
maybe a collaboration. That's a
Yeah,
good
you
idea.
and Beyonce. Yeah, I would love
Oh
that.
my God. But
That
it's
would
hard
be.
to like jump genres it's kind of hard to
Hmm.
jump genres once you've already got your foot in one. But
Hmm.
that's just from my own viewpoint. But it could be easier for someone else. But it's
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's just fabulous. But Paul, you pull from so much to create, and I look at you as a creator because you create authentic, original music. But what are some of the things that you pull from when you're in the creative process of writing a new song?
Kimberly, I just take anything and everything that comes around me at any given time, and just if I feel it and I'm open to it. Um, the ethereal stuff, I'll just start with the ethereal stuff. You could be just like getting in your car or like walking down the sidewalk or sitting under a trees, looking at the sunshine, be on a golf
Mhm.
course, like the wind blowing, like look at this beauty, like, that could like evoke like some kind of thing or like a chord or whatever. But then like,
Right.
more detailed, like, I could just be like working on my stuff at home or playing my horn and I come up on a nice lick and like, that's like a nice little, that's a cool hook or that's a chorus, that's a
Yeah.
verse or playing some
Yes.
chords. That's a chord progression. Or like I'm in a store and they have their own music on, and I hear some song I never heard before. It has like really good. It just captivates me in some way. I look at it and record it, like just see who it is, and I
Uh
might
huh.
start humming to it. Whatever. This is a really cool vibe. So those are the different ways I get my influences.
Oh, that's wonderful because you hear, especially a lot of the young people these days, they create beats and they do all these things. I mean, outside of the Beyonce concert, it was a young boy just banging on a tub like a bucket he had turned upside down, and
Those
he
paint
was just
cans.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he was just but everyone was surrounding him because it was so fabulous the beats he was actually doing.
Yeah.
Because now I know that you have sequencers and you have all of these technical things to create sound. But still, there's nothing like, and that's why I love hearing you play. And you're going to be in Vegas September the 20th at the Santa Fe Hotel. But it's lovely to hear the authentic sound instead of a sound maybe coming out of a machine. And if you had to really describe the difference of the two, what would you say to that? A technical sound versus the live sound of a artist that's playing an instrument.
That's a heavy question right there. Absolutely. I think there's good and I mean I don't say good and bad, but there's good parts and kind of you just have to embrace like that's what we have to embrace now with the technology. There's tech
Yeah.
like digital stuff. There's digital that can almost like I'm gonna do a sound check. I'm gonna play something like that. And you might think it's a real drum set. No, it's this is like digital sounds that are sampled or whatever. You know,
Wow.
you just have to you pick and choose the right. You just have to pick and choose the right ones to use. Like some,
Yeah.
if you use too much of the digital of the that it could sound like kind of cold and sterile. But if you use the right
Hmm.
amount of like of the other of the real of the analog, I would say,
Yes.
and also how you put it together and how like that's where your producer comes in. Like if you got a really good producer,
Okay.
they know
Uh-huh.
how to just make it all sit like just right,
Okay.
whether it's
Just
digital
right.
or analog, and just make it the right way. So it's both.
Yeah, and I remember when I worked in LA, I would go to the studio either with Barry White or with Lionel Richie, and I remember them staying in the studio for hours. It would be the morning time when we would get out of there. So I was just wondering, when you go into the studio now in 2025, I'm sure you have a studio in your house probably, but is it still a long process?
Yes and no. It all depends on the artist, the person, whatever. Because like I'm always working on something. Like I have like just oodles of just like little snippets of songs, like half songs, full songs, just a hook of something or a verse of something, and like they're just waiting to like if I can expound on it, then it's all good. But they're sitting there, they're waiting, whenever
Yeah.
I can, So that's the joy of it. You have stuff that's there, or and whatever you make new. Um,
Hmm.
so sometimes you could take something like I've been meaning to do this song for years and years. It could take a long time to finally get it to fruition.
Hmm.
But like
Yeah.
usually my stuff is like it doesn't take like that long. Maybe like
Hmm.
mm, like because I go in like with a empty slate, and just let it happen. But I bring a few ideas into the mix, and my producer brings ideas into the mix. And so maybe like
Hmm.
6 weeks into it, we're like just trade exchanging files, and if
Yes.
not going to each other's house and like in the same room, and we're just like vibing. Okay, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Let's try something. Da
Right.
da da da. So for me, it doesn't take like like 2 years. Like, but
Hmm.
sometimes like this, I was 3 years in between my last album, and that just
Hmm.
like it wasn't really planned. Like, you got to give your album a chance to go through and get all the singles out, and then like But now people can drop singles. See, it's another thing with technology. You can just drop
Yeah.
singles now. That's like a whole another thing. But like
Okay.
with a record
Yeah.
label, but so anyway, mine this stuff doesn't take like that long. We just get
That
like once
long. Yeah.
I'm in production, we just get at it
Yes.
in like a month or so, 5 6 weeks, and we're in
Hmm.
and we're in mastering.
And your music, it stands the test of time because even if you hear, and it's very different because you will hear an older song like a R&B song. You say, oh yeah, that's a oldies. But with jazz, you could hear it over you, and it doesn't seem like it has any kind of timetable on it because it still is just good music. You hear the instruments, you hear, I don't know what the psychology is about around that, but you can hear hear your music, Kenny G's music, George Howard's music, and it still stands the test of time. George Duke, all of those wonderful people. And have you ever thought about that? Why that is?
That's a great question too, because if I could process that and bottle it up, we'd be all rich. So,
I know.
it's
I
just
was like,
like you
yeah,
got to strike. You never know when lightning will strike for yourself or a song. Like I've had a few times it has, and so it's like having a hit. It's the same components of having a hit song. Once it's a hit
mm,
song, everyone knows it. And it's like carries on, and like they know you for your song, and like that's a song I know it. I like to dance with it or whatever, even if they don't know the name of
yeah,
it. A hit song is a hit song, and so all those components can make it timeless, even if it's like 30 years, wherever, how many years later. Like
yeah.
it still might have it might be the old way they recorded it, but it still sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
That's all I can say.
And Paul, and what I was just thinking hearing you talk, you're probably the most positive, happy person I really have met. I have never seen you down and out. I have never seen you upset. And I was just, because, we are being tested. So I was just wondering, how do you maintain such a positive attitude? Is it because you're doing what you love?
That's, I think, 99% of it. I've persevered through my life and all my studies and had my eye on the prize, and I just kept on with it, and with a lot of help. I
Yeah.
had a lot of help. The person that helped me too, all that through that time. So, but
Yes.
I just kept my eyes on the prize and kept on doing it, and so I'm definitely been living my dreams for quite a long time. So, I've done a lot of what I've wanted to do. Right, I'm living my dreams, touring, writing my music, touring my music, playing my music, on the big stage. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much that cures a lot of ills right there
Yeah.
and keeps you positive.
Has there been any country that you haven't gone to play that's you're excited about going to, right? Coming up, because I know you're always on the road.
Well, I've been to a few of them now. I've been all over the world, but there's
I
definitely a
know.
few I have not. There's more ground to cover. I'd love to
Okay.
go to Japan. I've not toured in Japan yet.
Oh
So that
yeah.
first thing in my mind popped out of my mind, Japan. I do have next year. I got I've played there before, but Portugal, Algarve, Portugal. So I'm looking
Okay.
forward to that. But yeah, I got to get to Japan someday. I got to
Yeah.
play there.
Yeah, my son wants to go to Japan. He loves it. I said, okay, we're going to go one day. We're going to Japan. But
Yeah.
this is so wonderful, Paul. And it's a brand new day. It's the album. It's the 13th CD that you have actually put together. And so we just celebrate you on this. This is just real exciting. And how is it doing? How is it doing on the stream? How is the CD doing now?
It's doing fantastic. So it came out the last day of February, and
Yeah.
then we dropped the first single, which was Forevermore. That did very well. We didn't get number one, but it was like top 10, on the chart. So we'll take it as it goes. And so now we dropped. So that was what, good 6 months ago. So now it's time for the
Yeah.
next one. So if you want your record, like there's an old phrase, like you want your record to have legs, your album,
Yeah.
so it lasts a long time, to keep out there a long time. So right now, it's on the second single. The record label's doing fantastic in support, and we made a great record. So it's doing fantastic. Couldn't be happier.
That is awesome. Now, do you have music that you just like, if you feel the feeling, you hear something, you get into the studio, write something? Now, because we heard about Prince, how he had all these music and kind of sitting in the vault, so to speak, and it wasn't
Yeah.
released. Do you do that? Do you just put songs together and so when it's time to do an album, you'll kind of pull from that?
Yes and no, Kimberly. In earlier records recordings, like when you're in production, like you write like a bunch of you write as many songs as you can do, whatever. Like write maybe like you're gonna get like 10 songs on the record, maybe a bonus track or two. But
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna write like you might write 15, 16 songs. If you want to write 20, 25 songs, have at it. But so you might have like 15, 16 songs, but then you have to you got to pick the best ones, the 10 best ones or whatever, 10 or 11,
Yeah.
12 best ones. So the ones that don't make the cut, they're not saying they're not good. They're still really good, but they just didn't make the cut. So those are just kind of right, like they're in that little limbo right there, waiting. Who knows? They might be better down the
Yeah.
road. So we
Yeah.
have plenty of those. Now I really
Uh,
haven't taken now for specifically. I've never taken one of those out of that in the app, but that would be interesting to do that.
Yeah, an idea. But Paul, also, I was just wondering if you had your dream collaboration. I know there's somebody that maybe you haven't worked with that you would love to collaborate with. Who would that person be?
Well, I can right off the top of my head, I can on my new album, It's a Brand New Day. I did a cover song from Billie Eilish, great artist.
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just say, I would love to do a collaboration with Billie Eilish. That would be really cool.
Yeah, yeah, she's an artist. Love it, love it. That is so good. Now we can go and tell us how we can get this new CD. Again, it's a brand new day.
Well, it's on all the platforms streaming, and I'm downloading Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music. You can get the actual CD on Amazon.com.
Okay.
Get the physical copy. Of course, when I travel, I bring copies with, bring the physical thing. So you want to buy it with the actual CD. So all
Oh,
those ways you can do it.
okay. That is so wonderful, Mr. Paul Taylor. We so love you. You're the guru of the saxophone. We just appreciate your music. It feeds us. It fuels us. And again, it's a brand new day. And I want to thank you so much for being an enterprising person and being on my podcast. So thank you, Paul.
I'm so happy to do it. Thanks for having me. Good to be
Okay.
here.
All right. Thank you. And I'll see you September the 20th at the Santa Fe.
We'll see you there. Alrighty.
All right. All right. Thank you, Paul. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, silverstatesmile.com. And that phone number is 702-470-1775. And again, we want to just thank you, the loyal subscriber. So please push subscribe and become a subscriber to Enterprising People, the podcast. I'm Kimberly Bailey-Tirone, and I want to thank you and you too for being Enterprising People.